The Purple Dragon Knight, this one is kind of in an odd spot. It is a great example of something that looks so good on paper, and if it was played and the interactions were allowed to go as this one would want it to, this would be an absolutely fantastic subclass. However, we've learned that in practical play, this one just doesn't feel super great, and I'm going to explain kind of why this one has, over time, fallen out of favor, if it really kind of ever was. I know that people were kind of excited about this one early on because it seemed like, cool, we're getting a warlord back, but the problem is you need like perfect party cohesion for this to really work. You need to make sure that some of your other features are up. It just feels like this thing doesn't get something that's just kind of always on, you know? And we'll get to that. So, the Purple Dragon Knight. Purple Dragon Knights are warriors who hail from the kingdom of Cormyr. I actually just learned about this region, and like I'm actually considering running a Forgotten Realms setting in this region because it sounds super cool, kind of like traditional medieval fantasy Arthurian legend type. But anyways, pledged to protect the crown, they take the fight against evil beyond their kingdom's borders. They are tasked with wandering the land as knights errant, relying on their judgment, bravery, and fidelity to the code of chivalry to guide them in defeating evildoers. A Purple Dragon Knight inspires greatness in others by committing brave deeds in battle. The mere presence of a knight in a hamlet is enough to cause some orcs and bandits to seek easier prey. A lone knight is a skilled warrior, but a knight leading a band of allies can transform even the most poorly equipped militia into a ferocious warband. A knight prefers to lead through deeds, not words. As a knight spearheads an act, the knight's actions can awaken reserves of courage and conviction in allies that they never suspected they had. Great flavor text. Love the flavor text here. It does have the restriction in here where it says like restriction to knighthood, and then it gives you a generic name that I'm going to roll with for this video called the Banneret, that it's just so much more like setting agnostic. I've heard people also call it a warlord, which they even give you right here, right? This does definitely aim to get the warlord flavor, and it does a good job, question mark. This one can get the flavor across. It is a little restrictive. Let's go through the features and kind of talk this out. So, Rallying Cry. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you learn how to inspire your allies to fight on past injuries. When you use your Second Wind feature, you can choose up to 3 creatures within 60 feet of you that are allied with you. Each one regains hit points equal to your fighter level, provided that the creature can see or hear you. Okay, so this is definitely achieving the idea of like, oh, okay, run in for battle, right? This is tied to Second Wind, so, you know, if you're not missing hit points, or if you want to use this on yourself, it can feel like you're not really getting the full benefit out of this. This is a purple. Second Wind is a really great feature. You know that at least once per combat, this is a thing that you can do, right? You kind of have an AoE heal. If you had a party member that goes down, this could be an emergency win that you can, like, res them, right? Well, except for the fact that they go unconscious and they can't see or hear you. So it doesn't even work out for that. This is not a terrible feature. It is a passive that is just on with Second Wind. So I'm going to give it a purple because I know that the strength of this is actually pretty nice. It's just that now this fighter, this is the only thing that you're getting here at 3rd level. And because this was designed early on, I think that they were a little bit worried about the power budget here. But compared to the other fighters in the game, with this being the only thing that you're getting at 3rd level, this just doesn't quite feel good enough. Royal Envoy, this is one that you get at 7th level. So at 7th level, you gain proficiency in the Persuasion skill. Good. Very common, basically the main face skill that you're going to be using. If you're already proficient in it, you gain proficiency in one of the following skills of your choice: animal handling, insight, intimidation, or performance. So they are emphasizing the face stuff here, right? Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that uses persuasion. You receive this benefit regardless of the skill proficiency that you gain from this feature. Why did I mark this one as blue? This comes online at 7th level. For like every fighter, this is very late for a skill proficiency to come on. This could have been given to you at 3rd, and I still think that like this is decent, right? Like here we have this idea of the nobility and whatnot. Yeah, it's all good. It just doesn't quite feel like this is totally hitting the mark. Like, let's compare that to one I just looked at, right? Elegant Courtier. Whenever you make a charisma persuasion check, you gain a bonus to the check equal to your wisdom modifier. So whether or not you're proficient with it, this is always going to be good for you. You know, you could get the proficiency with it up here earlier on, right? So like here we're getting a flexible possible proficiency or language. And then down here on top of the proficiency and the bonus on top of it, we're also getting proficiency with wisdom saving throws, an insanely common saving throw proficiency. So like with this being the only thing that they're getting out of their 7th level, this is super underwhelming. It's just not really up to snuff for what they really need to be getting here at 7th level. If you go with this fighter all the way up to this level, you're just missing out. It's yeah. Moving on from there, we're going to get Inspiring Surge at 10th, and I marked this one as orange. This is a little bit complicated. This is probably the biggest like moving piece of this that I need to kind of explain here. So, starting at 10th level, when you use your Action Surge feature, you can choose one creature within 60 feet of you that is allied with you. That creature can make one melee or ranged weapon attack with its reaction, provided that it can see or hear you. Starting at 18th level, you can choose 2 allies within 60 feet of you rather than 1. Now, why did I mark this one as orange? What happens if you use this feature and the ally decides not to use their reaction? What happens here is you're relying on the agency of another player in order for this to like kind of work, right? You're stealing someone's reaction. They're getting a nice perk out of it. They can use their reaction to make a melee or ranged weapon attack. This is actually pretty fantastic. It's one of the only ways that ranged weapon wielders are going to be able to make an attack as a reaction. But like, if this had come online for you at 3rd level, I'd be like, okay, this is in a really good spot. 10th level is so late. I honestly think that there's enough room in the power budget for just this entire concept here that as a fighter, you could just straight up forego one of the attacks that you make on your turn to issue an order for somebody else to attack using their reaction. And even still, I'm not a huge fan of it because of the agency that you're taking away from another player. So we know that in play that this is like, it's one of those things where I can tell that this mechanic is good, right? If used as efficiently as this wants to be used, this is actually a really remarkable feature. Absolutely fantastic. This comes online at 10th level. I feel like that's way too late though. And then the fact that this is eating up and dependent on somebody else's agency in order for them to act and do the thing. Are they going to? Probably. But like, there are other things that people can get as a reaction that may be better than them just making a ranged or melee weapon attack. You know, you're most likely going to be popping this on another martial list. You keep reliably doing that. Yeah, sure, that's pretty fantastic. It's complicated. I think once per combat, maybe twice later on. This sounds like it wants to be so good. It's just that the playfeel is not super great. Inspiring Surge, it was so close to being there. Now, moving on from there, their Capstone Bulwark, beginning at 15th level, you can extend the benefit of your Indomitable feature to an ally. When you decide to use Indomitable to reroll an Intelligence, a Wisdom, or a Charisma saving throw, and you aren't incapacitated, you can choose one ally within 60 feet of you that it also failed its saving throw against the same effect. If that creature can see or hear you, it can reroll its saving throw and must use the new roll. So, why did I mark this one as blue? Mostly because I just don't really think that Indomitable feels all that great. There's nothing that's super exciting about this one. And in fact, one of the reworks that I think I saw like Heavy Arms do was that he straight up made this like a legendary resistance like feature where you just got to choose to succeed instead. And that feels so cool. You get that legendary resistance feel in there. Yes, that would have been absolutely super sick. Yeah, the fact that it's dependent on a feature that I already just don't really feel is all that super exciting. It's kind of meh in terms of its strength. Its application is not bad, but like, the other interaction that can happen in here is like, you have to fail the save. And if your buddy fails the save, but you don't. So what happens in that situation? So you can reroll a saving throw that you fail. You have to fail the saving throw in order for that to kick on, right? So then over here, if you succeed on the saving throw and your buddy didn't, then like, what? You know, like, it just doesn't have a great playfeel here. It's a real shame. This could be such a cool archetype. Going over into the tier list with this one, my current feeling on it right now is I think the Banneret, even compared to some of the other fighters, it just gets super outclassed. I know that there's not really a whole lot of other ways you can do this, but like, I mean, you go order domain, and this feels like that's just going to be way better off than the Banneret. I think because of Tasha's with order domain coming out now, I'm gonna put Banneret here in C. I think that there's better ways for you to roll up a commander than what we're getting with Banneret. Kind of sad, but yeah. I also just think that there's so many other ways that you can achieve this concept. It definitely deserves a redesign because it's just such a cool idea. I know that we all want this to be a thing, but unfortunately, this just ain't it. Let me know what you all think down in the comment section below. I want to give a shout out to my Patreon sponsors. Thank you all so much for helping me keep the lights on around here and coffee in my blood. Y'all are absolute heroes. And hey, if you want to support the channel and get access to my private Discord, where I have a whole slew of designers over there talking all the time about just improving as homebrew designers, if you pledge $3 a month, you get access to that. And at higher tiers, you can get access to some of the exclusive content I drop over on Patreon at least once a month. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope that you all are staying safe, staying healthy, and I will see you all in the next one.